program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A cold, blistery wind is blowing as our hardy-dar root about in the mud of twin dams. This is Safari Live. Ready. Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live. You are live.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our sunrise drive this morning. I'm not sure how much of a sunrise we're going to get because it seems like our cold front has arrived. You can see the clouds drifting over and a little bit of color, at least in the sky, so maybe we'll get somewhat of a sunrise. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Sebastian, and this is a live interactive safari, which means that you are all the most important part of what we're doing this morning. So you can get hold of us on hashtag Safari Live, and hopefully it will be a busy morning. We are on the trail of a male lion. He's been roaring all morning. We've rushed down to the southern boundary. We woke up early, Seb and I, to try and get down here as fast as possible to see if we couldn't get right onto the southern boundary to start off. And his tracks have come all the way towards Twin Dams, but I've lost the tracks now. I don't quite know if he's gone a little bit more towards the Mulawati, or maybe he cut towards where the sticks were laying last night. So I'm going to quickly just check where the sticks were last night, see if I can't find his tracks there. Maybe the sticks are still here and he's now joined up with the sticks, and that will be fantastic if that is the case. I somehow doubt that is the case. I have a strong feeling that he's probably already gone over our boundary and southwards, which would be a little bit of a shame, but well, you know, we can only do what we can, and we can just try and see what's going on. Now, if you've just joined us, it is going to be myself out this morning with Sebastian. Like I said, Taylor McCurdy and Craig the Batman are going to have a little nap this morning. They are in bed and all tucked away, nice and cozy in this cold, dreary weather, and it should then mean that, well, hopefully, because at the moment they're having a few the Masai Mara will be joining us a little bit later with 2 feeds from that side. I'm not exactly sure who's going to be on that side, but that is the plan, at least, is that the two... James Scott. So we're going to have an all-boys drive this morning. Team guys, hashtag. Let's hope that it goes well and we find lots of interesting things. I'm pretty sure the Mara, well, it's always got interesting things coming out of it, and so does Djuma, so it should be a good morning nonetheless. Now, I'm just slowly going this way because this is where I left the sticks last night. It's just up ahead here, and I'm wanting to see if I can't find any tracks for them on this road. I wonder if they either didn't just get up and go and end up in a situation where they went straight southwards, or they might still be just curled up in a ball there. Remember that they did eat yesterday morning, and that means that there is a possibility that they just lay through the night and didn't actually move. It does happen sometimes with lions. They sometimes will just sleep and take it very easy and not move around too much. The thing is that I can't see any sign of their tracks coming out onto the fire break yet, and I'm already past the point of where I saw them last night, and so I would have expected the tracks to be here. What I'm going to do is just carry on a little bit straighter and just get towards Weaver's Nest and then turn south and check Gowrie main side and just make sure that I didn't miss something on this side, because it does happen from time to time. It is early in the morning and, well, the eyes are not quite what they should be at this stage of the game. But I can tell you the temperature difference in the wind from last night to this morning is vastly different. Yesterday morning we had a nice warm breeze that was, or yesterday afternoon should I say, it was this hot breeze, like a berg wind that was blowing, and it was very pleasant actually. Last night we were all sitting around the dinner table in t-shirts, and we were watching Genevieve the Genet, which is a genet that comes to our camp every now and then, and we were photographing her and having a really good time, and it was very pleasant. But the wind then got up really heavily last night and it became very strong, and then after that now this morning it is quite cold as we drive around. So hopefully that won't affect things too much. It does sometimes mean that things like elephants and the likes tend to disappear a little bit and go into hiding. They're not a huge fan of the cold wind, like some of us. Just trying to see if I can't see any sign. No sign at Weaver's Nest of these lions coming out, which is encouraging because there was no tracks that I saw further down either. So maybe, just maybe, the sticks are sitting right here with a Birmingham male. And I'm going to, if there's nothing crossing here, I'm going to go straight back to where I last saw them and see if I can't just get in there and maybe, just maybe, they're there. But I just want to quickly check down towards Baboon Pan. That big road that crosses, that's sometimes a good place to check and see if there's not tracks that have gone over. There's definitely nothing that I can see for the sticks so far though, that's which is encouraging news. Well, it sounds like Mr. Henry has not only judo kicked the gremlins to the curb, but, well, he's going to get our sunrise off to an absolutely start.
Good morning everybody. Exciting times here in the Masai Mara. That's my new way of saying Masai Mara. My name is James Henry. I've got a very detestable earpiece in my ear that is not working properly. Fergus is on camera. Hello Fergus. We've seen a saddle-billed stork already, and there are also some cheetah over there. We are just as live as they are in Djuma. Hashtag Safari Live, of course, is how you get hold of us. If you're wondering why it looks like there's a car park over there, well, that's because there is a car park over there on account of the fact that there are 2 cheetah. And there are many tourists enjoying the cheetah here in the Mara of the morning. I'm not sure that made sense. Anyway, it is the morning in the Mara, and it is very beautiful here. It's an hour later than it is in South Africa, which means that it is, well, about 20 minutes to 8 o'clock. It's probably sitting around about, let me just lick my finger. It's probably sitting at around about 19 or 20 degrees Celsius, which is about 68 or 69 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a gentle breeze blowing in from the north. And if you were lucky enough to be on the Governor's Balloon Safaris Facebook page earlier, you would have seen that the wind that is currently blowing blew Sensor across to where he has currently landed, about 20 kilometers from where we are now sitting. That cheetah is part of a coalition of 2, as I said. They seem to be on the hunt. There was some reedbuck around here. They were harassed briefly by some buffalo. And now we're going to wait and see what they do. There was quite a lot of rain in this area yesterday evening, and the soils are not particularly good after rain, and so we're going to be very careful about where we drive. We cannot move forward from our current position because then we will get stuck. And I know that Brent a while back did a fairly lengthy treatise on giving, I don't know what it was called, a marshmallow award or something to the person who gets stuck first, and he was alluding to the fact that he thought Amy, I imagine that there's probably some variation, but the sort of standard issue answer is about 100 kilometers per hour or 60 miles per hour. So that is pretty quick. It is the fastest land mammal in the world. And in fact, no, it doesn't run. No, in fact, there are flighted things that will fly at level flight even faster than that. But it is the fastest land mammal, of course. And it is totally over-specialized for speed. The reason I say that, of course, and it's fascinating, next time we're in the studio, I'll try and show it to you. Right, I'm going to have to pause every time I get a question, I'm afraid, everyone, because my comms and my earpiece are they're too soft. So Kobe, hold on to your question. I will answer it now. Just want to finish this little statement I was going to make about the cheetah and their over-specialization. We've got a cheetah skull and a leopard skull in the studio back at Agama, Mara, and it is fascinating to look at the difference, and you can see how much weaker and how much less muscle there is on the skull, or would have been on the skull, because of course they have to reduce the size of the skull in order to, make space for the nostrils, which need to take in a huge amount of oxygen for the speed that they manage and for the energy that they need to expend. Then, Kobe, you're wondering if this cheetah has a name. You're 15 years old. I think this cheetah probably does have a name. I don't know what it is, though. There are two cheetah here, and I'm sure that they do have names. I've sent a message just now to the Cheetah Research Group, and the Cheetah Research Group has not replied to me yet. You can see they are definitely filmmakers over that side. As Fergus says, they're not very thoughtful filmmakers because they've parked themselves right behind where our shot is. You know, if we had a cannon on this car, we might fire a broadside just to get them to move. We should probably get something like that, don't you think, Fergus? I think that would be an excellent idea. Or an enormous paintball gun. That would teach him. We'd have to clean his lens then. And we still see the cheetah, or they're gone. I can't see anything from where I'm sitting. Cece, I'm not sure I heard you correctly. In fact, I'm pretty sure I didn't. Louise has just fed through your question that says, it looks like there's a rubbish cater. I don't know what that means. Let's try it again, Louise. Oh, it looks like a young one. Yes, Cece, I don't think there's... I don't know how old they are, actually. My experience of cheetah is limited, and these are quite far away. But I would agree with you, they don't look as big as some I've seen. But they always look younger than they are, especially at this distance, because their heads are so small. They don't have that bulky power. Than these ones, I must confess. So these chaps probably aren't that old. They're probably just recently separated from their mums. I don't know if they are males or females. They're almost certainly one or the other. Now, Beth, you're wondering if cheetah are more or less habituated to the vehicles than the other cats here. Beth, I don't think it makes any difference, really. I think they're about the same. Just remember, the reason that, or the speed with which animals will habituate to vehicles largely has to do with the confidence that they are able to bring to bear. Now, if you're a cheetah, you are right at the bottom of the predator hierarchy, which means that you are by nature going to be more careful, more circumspect about who you allow to be around you or in your space. And so that will take a bit more time to habituate to vehicles than something like a lion, for example, which of course is the uber predator out here, and therefore doesn't have anything to fear from anyone, and so they will habituate much more quickly. Hyenas the same, wild dogs the same, and then when you get to leopards and cheetahs, they take a bit longer. But this, remember, we're in a place called Governor's, or in the marsh, actually. We're very near Governor's Camp. And Governor's Camp is, it's a very famous area. This area that we're in now is a very famous area, and I think you'll find that these cheetahs have experienced vehicles since birth, and I think that's why they're completely comfortable. Yeah, they do look young now, don't they? I'm hoping to get a bit more experience of cheetahs while we're here in the Mara, because, like I said, my experience of them is... and look at it and say, well, it's probably X old, etc., but I can't do that with this one. Louise, sorry, I was talking while you were giving that question, which means I didn't hear it. Velma, you want to know how many cheetah are estimated to be in the area. I think that there are at least, what is it? It's probably about 35 or so known individuals. There is a cheetah group, and I mean, these chaps do some wonderful work. It's the best place to find them is maralions.org, and that will then link you across to the cheetah sort of page, if you like, of the same research group. And it's a couple, and they operate not too far from where we're sitting right now. He does the lions and she does the cheetah, and they do a fantastic job, and they publish a lot of information about what's going on here. So go to maralions.org and you'll find probably a lot more information on the cheetah of the area. Fergus, not often that you've got to film cheetah live, is it?
I've never seen the guys at Djuma.
Yeah, you've never seen the ones at Djuma? Well, these are the ones, the Mara in the marsh and the Mara. Now, Kylie, you're wondering if cheetahs hunt together, and they do, you know, and Scott, later on, if he can get his vehicle going, it's broken down currently, is going to try and find a group of 5 cheetah brothers that live not too far from where I'm sitting, and we had a wonderful sort of video sent to us the other day of 5 of them taking down an adult wildebeest. It was very harrowing because they're not powerful like lions, which means they really had to harass this thing to eventually kill it. But they do hunt communally, especially males together. They're what you might describe as semi-social. So if these are 2 brothers, then they will stay together. If they're a brother and a sister, they will split. The females like to live on their own. Oh, there's something running towards them. Watch out. Lexi, you want to know if they communicate with their ears like lions do? Lexi, I don't think they do. I think they communicate probably entirely on sight. There may be some signal from their ears, but, you know, a cheetah's method of hunting is completely different or distinct from a lion's. A lion's is a stalking hunt, and they use their sort of teamwork to engage in a pincer movement, if you like. But these chaps don't do that. They spot prey like they have now. There's an impala or a reed buck just to the left of them, and then they just run. Then they just chase it. They rely on their speed. I'm just going to put my binoculars up. It's a reed buck walking through some fairly marshy land. It's quite a distance from them. It's probably a good 150 meters. And I don't think... Well, here they go. They're having a go. I think they're going to struggle to move through that sort of terrain. Let's see what they do. I can sneak very slightly forward. Shall we do that, Ferg, or do you want to just sit tight? Okay, let's go and sit tight for now. And it goes and ruins his picture. Now, Keith, you're wondering about the biggest prey that a cheetah could kill. Well, I think you'll find that wildebeest that those 5 chaps took down 2 or 3 days ago is probably about as big as a cheetah's prey can get. They'll need to be very careful of trying to take on anything larger than that. These chaps, this reedbuck will be roughly around the biggest size. The reedbuck is now running, I'm afraid. They're not going to get it. Although it's now on much more solid ground. You see it there, Ferg? It's sitting just behind a saddle-billed stalk. Just to the lefty of that. Oh, there's another one. That's a male. It's quite nice to see a reed buck in amongst the reeds in the marsh. Anna-Marie, you're wondering about the favourite prey of cheetah in the Mara. I think you'll find that they largely take Thompson's gazelles. I think that will be the bulk of their prey. It's about the right sort of size. I forget the exact mass of a Thompson's gazelle. I'll check it for you now. But I think you'll find that the Thompson's gazelles are the ones that take the biggest pasting from the cheetah in this area. I'll just find me book, and then I'll tell you the mass of the Thompson's gazelle. But they will take impala from time to time. I imagine the big males will take some Grant's gazelles from time to time. They could take reedbuck. Two of them could easily take a reedbuck, and of course the coalitions can take things like wildebeest. Just find the gazelles. I will find them eventually. There we are. Grants, Sommerungs, Tannas, Brights. Where is the Thompsons? There he is. They weigh in at the males 20 to 35 kilograms. So that is about, well, a big male cheetah will probably weigh about a maximum of 60 kilograms or so, probably lighter normally. So let's say maximum weight, or an ideal weight, of about 2/3 the mass of the cheetah. They're definitely hungry, they're definitely looking for something to eat, but like I say, I think this landscape is probably too inundated for them. I think they'll get their feet stuck and they won't be able to accelerate to quite the speed that they need to in order to take something down. So if they were very clever, they'd cross over this watery patch that we have in front of us and go back behind us to where we saw some Thompson's gazelles on much harder ground. They, of course, are not Thompson's gazelles, they're Thompson's gazelles. There's no P. Bobby, you say do cheetahs stalk their prey? Bobby, they do, to a certain extent, but not to the same extent as leopard or lions do. They stalk for a while, and then they give chase, then they run. They are essentially coursing predators, in the same way that a wild dog is a coursing predator, I suppose. And sleep. Well, that's disappointing. Oh well, where's the other one? Fergus also there.
Yeah, I can't see the other guy.
Fergus can't see the other one. There you can hear the hardy-dar ibis. Well, one's up. It's not doing a great amount though. Maybe they will have a snooze here. Now, Kobe, you're wondering what a cheetah alarm call sounds like. They don't really have an alarm. Well, I suppose they do. And the only reason I know that, of course, is because I went to a cheetah sort of rehabilitation farm in Namibia once, where they had been released into the wild, and they allowed us to walk with the cheetah. And we got to within, 10 meters or so. And then one of them gave a bit of a sort of growl. It's a growl. It's not a very deep, throaty growl, but it is a growl. And you know, they look fairly innocuous at this distance, but up close, and I'm sure many of you will know this, of course, from when we have had closer sightings, they can be fairly intimidating looking. But they are easily habituatable on foot. They're almost entirely domesticatable. Except they don't like to breed in captivity, of course. Alrighty, I think we'll sit here for a little bit longer, see what happens, but they are getting a bit far away and I can't really cross this watery patch, I'm afraid. So let's head across to Tristan, find out what he's doing this morning there in the cold winter of South Africa.
Well, James, we unfortunately have had no luck. Our lions have all crossed south, and it sounds like the sticks are already down in Hoffman's area, so they've moved quite quickly. And then, well, the Birmingham mail as well. Hello, Ari, how are you? You will? Good. The Tumbers truck's going straight this way. I don't know if they've crossed north, but they're going... Okay, cool. Cool, cheers. So, just getting a quick update from there. It sounds like either little Shongile or Sana have managed to find themselves an impala down on Hoffman's, which is fantastic news. So they've got an impala kill. Then the sticks sound like they killed a zebra down on Hoffman's as well. So Hoffman seems to be the place to be today. And then it sounds like the Majingalans are down in Elephant Plains, Shirley's, somewhere, that area. So that's quite interesting as well. Wonder if that's why the Birminghams were so vocal last night. Now I'm just checking around here because we had tracks for, well, we had Tumba here last night, and the tracks for him are going up and down, and it looks like they may have gone on our side. So I want to just quickly go around. They do like to hang around this fire break area. There's a big deep gully here, and it's the perfect place for a little leopard to take refuge. I see his tracks are no longer here, so I'm hoping that they've gone that way. They were turning up into this section when I saw Ari's vehicle, so I'm going to go try and check. But alas, the lions have frauded us, Seb. This is what they do. The Birminghams like to make a big noise at night, get you all excited, and then they just disappear during the day. It's a very familiar trait and very familiar way of life with them. Okay, let's just check here, Seb. Come on. But it sounds like James is having a fantastic morning already with his cheetah sightings, and I'm a little bit jealous. We don't see our cheetah anymore, unfortunately, because they're all in the far east, so very seldom seen them. And I've actually been trying to sort of get some updates on them, because it seems as though they've been a little bit on the shy side, and not really too much has been seen of them. Oh, Seb, can I compound your misery some more? The Nkahuma Pride have also been found, and they're also on a kill. So it seems everybody had a party last night, but the Nkahuma Pride is now on Biffle's hook, so we can stop worrying about them too. So there goes another pride of lions. And, well, that's the only prides we would have been able to find. So, Tandy and Tumba, you need to come to our rescue now. Somewhere here we need to find the two of them. This is an area that I've seen them before. The problem with this section is it is very dense, especially these right-hand side where there's a big dense Tamburti thicket. It's not easy to see in here at all. So hopefully if little Tumba is here or Tandy is around, that they're lying somewhere where I can actually see them. Let's see. No tracks there. The problem with this road as well is it doesn't get driven often, which means that there's a lot of tracks of a lot of different animals moving up and down. So you've got to kind of pay attention quite carefully as to what's going on. Let's see now when we go down into this dip. Sorry, Chantal, you said somebody would like to see something, but there is about 1 out of 5 audio coming from you at the moment, so I didn't hear anything that you said. If you can repeat that for me. Ziki, you would like to see a waterbuck. Well, I think that's one thing that Vicky with a V, sorry Vicky. Well, I'm sure I can find a waterbuck. That's one thing that I'm pretty confident that I can see. So I'm going to try and then probably head towards Treehouse Dam for you to find your waterbuck. I'm just trying to see where the last tracks would have been for Tumba had he crossed north. It would have been somewhere here now. So I'm just checking on the fire break area just to see if there isn't any sign of him going this way. He might have also gone southwards. And relative to where I saw Ari is somewhere here now. So hopefully there is some sort of sign of him. Seb, are you looking in all the trees? Not that I think he would be in a tree today. I think it would be a little bit chilly to be on a tree. So I'm more thinking he's down on the ground somewhere in a little thicket, curled up, in trying to get out of this wind. Although we know with these leopards, a lot of the time they move around quite a bit. And well, Tumba had an eventful day yesterday, and so did Hosanna. Tumba was chased by elephants, and Hosanna was chased by the Styx Pride. So it was a big day for our young male leopards yesterday. Come on, cats. Nathan, you want to see some ellies? Ooh, Nathan, that's going to be a tough one in this weather, but I shall certainly try for you and see if I can't find something in this area. This is where we had ellies yesterday, so I'll check to the northern side on Leadwood Road, see if there isn't any sign of them there. And along Central, they often like these areas when it's cold and windy. They go into the sort of thicker bush along those roads. But no sign of a leopard that I can see walking on this fire break. So it seems as though Tumba is also still Little Gowrie side. There was tracks on the main road, but I thought just maybe they came northwards, but alas, there is nothing on the fire break side. Right, let's go on Leadwood for a little bit. Maybe I missed his tracks and they'll pop out here somewhere. And I wonder where Tundi is, because the last time we were seeing her was sort of central Djuma, and I wonder if she maybe didn't come back last night and try and find little Tumba and try and take him somewhere. From the east there's been no sign or sort of any updates on where he was or where they left him, so I'll have to try and find out. White Lady Owen, you say you would like to see some leopards for your 1-year anniversary of watching Safari Live. Well, thank you for watching for 1 year, and I'm glad that you've been with it, and I hope you've enjoyed it and that you've seen lots of amazing things. It has been a year filled with some pretty interesting stuff, so I'm glad that you've been a part of that. And well, if I can find a leopard, I will do so as much as possible, and I would be thrilled to see a leopard just as much as you would. So we shall definitely try and see if we can't find one. I think it might be worth going and checking towards Treehouse Dam as well. You never know, maybe Hosanna or Shongile are still hanging around that side, but there's definitely no sign of Tumba or Tundi on Leadwood Road that I can see, and nothing on the fire break, which is a little bit disappointing, because I was hoping that there would be some tracks coming this way. And wouldn't it have been nice if little Tumba was just kind of sprawled out somewhere here on this fallen over tree? Would have actually been a perfect place for him, but no, he's not there. Alright, so we've got waterbuck, elephants and leopard. Seb, I reckon we can do it. Easy, no problem. I actually think when the sun gets up a little bit, it might be better. It might start triggering the animals to actually get up and move and to start doing their thing, because often what happens is when it's a little bit cold, they kind of just hunker down and they wait then for it just to warm up slightly with the sun, and then you'll find that they actually move. So on cold mornings like this, then in a sudden temperature change like we've had, then it sometimes just takes a bit of sun before any of the animals, even the cats, begin to move around. No, nothing there. So Nathan, bushfires are not as common as you would think. I mean, we do get them, particularly when we get towards September and October and our summer thunderstorms start to come in, and the lightning then causes a fire to start from time to time, but they're not as common as you would think. They're around, but not hugely so. And the thing about the fires in this area is actually a lot of them are caused by human error. So it's either somebody leaving a piece of glass lying around, and that glass acts almost like a magnifying glass and kind of concentrates the sun's power onto some dry grass and that causes a fire to start, or somebody actually sets the place alight, which is quite common. You'll find also runaway fires from people leaving fires burning on the fringes of the game reserves, and that then causes a fire to start. So that's most of where our problems come in. The actual sort of natural fires are few and far between. It's not very common at all. And in fact, I'm just trying to think in the 9 years that I've been in the sands when the last time I saw a natural fire was, but I can tell you it wasn't anytime soon. And most of the fires that I've dealt with has just been from negligence from people on the fringes of the reserve that has caused a fire to start out. Now we do have tracks for some elephants, but these are the ones from last night that we saw, so they could be quite far away, but they are heading slowly in a northerly direction. So we'll just do another loop around towards central. Like I was saying earlier, Mamba, Central, those areas often do house the elephants in weather like this. I see they've come back onto the road here, the tracks. Hopefully they don't go to Torchwood. That won't be ideal. If it's a morning like this, I'm going to be upset. One of the animals must stay at least on our side. So Micro, you're a new viewer. Welcome, Micro, to the Safari Live family, and well, like we say, to the biggest safari vehicle in the world. Sorry, Micro, I got a bit distracted there because I see tracks here and I'm just trying to see for who they are. They are from yesterday with the Styx Pride. They are their tracks from yesterday. Now, you're asking how big this reserve is. Well, the sort of Sabi Sands Reserve that we're part of is about 128,000 hectares acres if we include Mala Mala, so about 64,000 hectares. Then it is joined to the Kruger National Park, which is completely open and unfenced. Now the Kruger National Park is a whopping 8.5 million acres, so that's the area that these animals have to walk in, which is a very large area at the end of the day. It means that sometimes finding these animals can be a bit needle in the haystack. I'm just checking here if there's any tracks that I can worry about. What's that there? It looks like these are all the tracks from the Styx yesterday where they came through, so we'll leave those alone because we know where those ended up and they've already gone way south, so no point in following those. So the reserve itself is very large, and it means that there is a big movement of animals, but in saying that, we have in these areas, because it's privatized parts of the park, we have traversing areas, so we have to basically make agreements with other lodges in terms of where we're going to drive and what we're going to do. So the actual traversing area for Djuma, or for what we're doing here in the Sabi Sands, is about 1,200 hectares or 2,400 acres. Where James is in the Masai Mara, I'm not even sure now how big the traversing is, but it's about, I think it's about 120,000 hectares, so over 250,000 acres. So it is massively bigger. It's over 100 times larger than what we're doing here, and there you need that space because remember, your field of view in comparison to here, my field of view is probably 50 meters on either side, whereas there in the Masai Mara your field of view is much larger, and therefore you need more space to be able to find all the things you do. But it just gives you an idea of the sort of difference between the two places and the density of animals. If you consider that we see what we see here on that amount of area is huge here. We are very fortunate in that we have a lot. It's just in the Mara it becomes a lot easier to kind of see it because of the number or the space and the amount of it's just lots of tracks around. These lions had a field day yesterday because no one really tracked them from the side, so it's just interesting to see where they walked and how many tracks there actually are for them. It's definitely the Styx Pride tracks that we're seeing because, well, we know they're accounted for down in the south and Nkuhuma's down in the north, so it can't be another random pride. I suppose the Tortured Pride could be here, but they look like yesterday's tracks. You can see the elephants have actually squished them all over here, so it's definitely not from this morning. But getting... Megan, you're 12 years old. Hello, Megan. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. And you want to know if two prides are close together, is there going to be a fight or is there going to be trouble? Well, yes, Megan. Two prides won't be very tolerant of one another. They don't like to be too close together because they are competition. So when I say competition, they are competition for not only food but for areas where they can have their babies and keep their cubs, and so they will fight with one another. The females will be aggressive towards each other, and if it's two different groups of males, well, then they get very...
But I suspect it's largely marsh-dwelling creatures, possibly the odd rodent. A frog. Yes, I suppose it might eat a frog, Fergus. Fergus is a thinker, you see. Now, we also have got... Sorry, you will hear me pause every time Louise does hear her properly. Dina, you say this is a new bird for your list. It's a new one for me too, I think. No, it's not. I've seen them before. I take that back. I certainly haven't seen them commonly on account of the lack of marshes in the Sabi Sand area. Fergus, can we pop across there to the Grant's Gazelle? There it is over there. And it is much more... I believe there are a few black screens, everybody. I apologize for those. I'm very sorry. It's not my fault. We will try and rectify the problem. So while you're looking at the Grant's Gazelle, which is heavier than the Thompson's Gazelle, the cheetah are actually on their way here. They've crossed that marsh. They're a very long way away from where we are, but we might just be able to get around to where they're coming. You see them, Ferg? I don't even think you'll pick them up with that camera. Can you see? Yeah, they're basically in the middle of your frame there. There. See them there? Well, that is quite fun. They're coming this way, across an area that we would be able to drive on. There is a lot for them to eat here. Not much where they were. Where they were, there are beefalo and eland and wassabok. No, Louise, you're going to have to go again with that one.
That was Sims.
Oh, right, she was talking to Senzo, not to me. Senzo of the air. Well, this is a rather marvellous development. This road seems to bend round towards where they are, so I wonder if we shouldn't perhaps drive on. What do you think? Fergus, past the Marsh Harrier. Fergus, you will tell me if you hear anything from Weesey, will you? Fergus and I had a harrowing afternoon yesterday. We got caught in the rain again. It was not very clever of us. But we made it back. We survived. Now, there's an airstrip not far from here. It is the governor's airstrip. I'm just going to stop in the shade here and just try and get a direction on which way those fellows are moving. They are so far away. I'm sorry about this, but in order to see them on the hunt, as it were, we're going to have to do some manoeuvring. You see them anymore, Ferg? I can see the back end of a Thompson's gazelle. A Thompson's gazelle that is looking a little bit nervous. I have become totally disorientated. Hello, Splash. Oh, there, I can see them. Go left, 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 left. Somewhere there. Somewhere there. Splash, you want to know how big the Mara is? Oh, no, that's not what... is it? No, that's a reedbuck. Sorry, it's now running away. I can see the cheetah. It's straight over the top of the Thompson's gazelle with its backside facing us. That's a reedbuck we're looking at. Splash, the Mara is 1,510 square kilometers, which works out to about 370,000 acres, or 150,000 acres, at least hectares. Can you see the cheetah there?
No.
It's just over the top of that Thompson's gazelle. But it is now slinking in the bushes. There. It's going to run. Did you see that where that bird landed? Did you see the bird come down? Just behind, just go left a little bit from where you are. It's in there. It's after that reedbuck. Everyone, I think we're going to have to move, and let's see if we can't find a road that goes down there. Yeah, it's running. Oh, they're all running now. Oh, sorry, everyone. I know this is difficult. There's a hyena coming.
Where are we looking?
We're looking straight over the top of these gazelles. We've got the hyena.
No.
Go left.
Okay,
There's the hyena. Oh, there we go. What's that? I know this is like... but there's not a chance you were going to pick it up with the camera. It is a speck at the end of these magnificent binoculars. I wonder if there isn't a road there. There's a much hyena down there. I'm going to see if I can find a road, because this is not good. This is a road. Is it? Road is a very strong term for that. Shall we try it? We do not want to get stuck though. Again, we have to be very careful. Right, I can see all the gazelles in front of us. Soil seems to be holding. Distressing sight of what looks to be another storm coming from the other side. I can see the hyenas. Yes, I can see them. I'll suddenly start driving very fast. It'll be because I'm worried that we're going to get stuck. I think this looks all right for now. You still see Ferg? I'm going to drive a little bit faster. You can see the running reedbuck. I know you can't see this, everybody. Lou, I can't hear you. Try again with that. No, that's a waste of time. Ferg, what did she say?
Viewers appreciate your purple coat.
Oh, thank you, everybody. It's my ox blood red sort of coat in celebration of the Maasai colours. I love the fact that we can go on safari in red here. I'm so bored of khaki. Here's a nice road. This will do us just fine. Okay, let's try and figure out what's going on from about here. We'll go from the hyenas off to the north of us. Ooh, my chair's just come out from underneath my baton. There we go. It's back in. Oh, God. There are the Mises. I think there's a den down here. And Louise, yes, indeed, you do see an ostrich. There are ostrich, there are sadly billed storks, there are reedbuck by the dozen, herons, waterbuck, hardy-dar ibis, and somewhere in amongst that lot, cheetah. Those hyenas do not look like they have struggled to find lunch over the last few years. I'm just scanning with my binoculars. The fact that the filming vehicle has disappeared indicates to me that the cheetah were heading this way. Certainly not in a way that they could see it. Fergus, do you think we're going to get nailed by the rain again?
Nah, it's going to the escarpment.
Is it going to the escarpment like the other two times?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. At least we have a picnic this time. No, I can't see the cheetah anyway. Andy, you say is it still the rainy season here in the Mara? Well, if it isn't, I'd hate to see the rainy season. Yes, it is, but I believe the long rains, which is what we're in now, have sort of extended themselves to longer rains. Round about now, they should have stopped. But the last few afternoons, we've had some very heavy storms indeed. Now, I know I'm not talking about what you're looking at on the screen, everyone, it's because I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. You're looking at some reedbuck. I think the reedbuck, we're looking at the cheetah. I can see the filming vehicle. It's come around this marsh area. I suspect it's now filming the hyenas. But of course, once those hyenas were flushed, you'll find the cheetahs will keep a very low profile. Where are you? No. There. Ha 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 ha. Right. Fergus. The chances of you where I'm looking.
Yeah.
Now there's a green patch. There's a cheetah where those birds are flown, those geese.
Animals, oh sorry, Franklins, so it's not like they are sort of monitored and through any technology, and the reason why we don't do that is because, well, we just want a situation where the animals live as freely as possible, and there's also something about having to track and to find animals that way. For me, it's always an exciting way of doing things, and I know sometimes it doesn't work for us, and we have days like today where we're tracking things and it's all going off and not really staying in our area, and it seems like a sort of difficult way to find things, but it is the best way. It's more rewarding that way, and it builds a bit of anticipation to have to try and track things down and to find footprints and then use those footprints to find the animal that you're looking for. So for me, I prefer the sort of way that we have to find animals here, and the tracking process that we go through. It is an interesting one, and like I say, I mean, it's better than having collars and sitting with the telemetry and knowing every morning that you go out that, well, that's exactly where the line is. There's a sort of unknown feeling when you go out, and makes you stay on your toes and makes you look hard. It keeps you engaged in what you're doing. So I really enjoy that sort of side of it. But it would be nice this morning if the track came the opposite way that they've been going today. I wonder where, like I say, where Tundi's gone. There's been no sort of report of her since we last had her 2 days ago. And I checked on Elephant Carcass. Her tracks were there, but they're the old ones from the day that she was found. So I don't quite know where she ended up going from that particular area. Maybe she just sort of is still hanging around in that thicket. Ooh. Michael, you're asking which female leopard has the largest territory here. Of the leopards that we see, I would say probably at the moment Tundi. She has basically an area. She goes Chitwa, Annette, Little Gowrie, a little bit into Cheetah Plains, a little bit into Nkoro, then up into Torchwood, and then this whole southeastern side of Djuma. So she's probably got an area, I would say, of that area must be about maybe 3.5 to 4,000 hectares, which is quite big for a female. It's a lot bigger than, maybe a little bit less than that, 3,000, let's call it 3,000 hectares, which is quite a lot bigger than a lot of the other females that we have out here. I would say Shadow's territory at the moment currently is probably closer towards sort of 2,000. She's got the southwestern corner of Djuma, and then Hoffman's and a little bit of Little Gowrie and a bit into Arethusa. Salahesh also has a very large territory. I'm not sure exactly how big that would be, but it's also probably in the sort of 2.5 to 3,000 range. That's what I would guess for her as well. So quite large territory for her. But in terms of the ones that we see, I would say Tundi's probably at the moment got the largest female territory out of them all. Animals, birds, anybody out there? Now it seems even the birds are flying away. I keep trying to stop for birds and they just take off as I stop. So we'll have to just maybe go and find somewhere and sit for a little bit and just allow things to come to us. That's going to be our change of plan. So oh, there's a nice little crested barbet. Don't you fly away. Stay where you are. So this is one of the more beautiful birds that we have out here. It's called a crested barbet. So you've got a bright yellow around the face, and you can see where it gets its name, crested barbet, from. There's a nice big crest on the top of the head, and you'll find that normally the males are a little bit more brightly colored than the females. It's not very noticeable unless the two of them are next to one another, but males tend to be a little bit more. Now I wonder what it's doing on the ground. Barbets are big fruit eaters, and so I'm not sure why it would be on the ground at the moment. Maybe there's things that have been falling from certain trees that it's looking for, or it could be looking for little seeds potentially, but most of their diet is in the form of fruits, and they'll be very happy because soon the guarri trees are going to start fruiting, and they'll produce this beautiful berry that the barbets absolutely love. And you'll find a situation where they'll be sort of feeding heavily off the guarris with the grey go-away birds. The two of them get stuck in and they strip those trees fairly quickly. It's actually quite amazing how fast they can strip a tree. Now we just come back down towards Twin Dams because I want to just go along the southern boundary all the way towards Zoe's side, see if maybe, just maybe, there is any sign of Shongile or shadow or cub coming from the south. So just to check that and make 100% sure, and then we're going to turn up towards Treehouse Dam, and then I think I'm there for a little bit and just enjoy what goes on, and hopefully for us there will be a little Shongile curled up at Treehouse Dam and resting there at the dam wall. That's what I'm going to hope for. So we have to put it out there. It's unfortunately the only option we've got at this stage. Or Shadow and Cub, I suppose they could also be around. I know Taylor had tracks for a female around that new road that's on the far western side of Djuma, and she's been hanging around there quite a bit with her cubs, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's where they are. And it's a nice area actually for a day like today because it's got long grass, it's a few thickets, which would be perfect for a little leopard cub to hide out in and to stay nice and warm. I don't think we're going to be seeing our monitor lizards today. A bit cold for them. Aegis, you're asking who's got the biggest territory amongst the male leopards. Well, again, the ones we see is really only Mvula and Tingana these days. Those are the only two we're seeing regularly. And so Tingana would be the biggest out of that, hands down. In fact, it's probably about 3 times the size of what you're seeing on Tingana's territory. But theoretically, though, I mean, if we think about all of the animals that we see here, Anderson would be the biggest by quite a long shot. So Anderson's territory is quite large. He goes, there you can see where our male lion crossed. Is just in front here. It's going across. But Anderson's territory goes from the Sand River on Londolozi into Ottawa, up from Ottawa into Elephant Plains, Shirley's, Arathusa, Simbambili, and sometimes down towards even the Mala Mala boundary. So he's got a massive territory. And there goes our male lion's tracks that we were talking about this morning. So we must have just missed this guy as he went over. You can see a nice big one on the tire tread there in the sort of center of the frame, just to the right there, Seb. Just where those tire tracks go over the mound, up a little bit, to the right, to the right, there, that one. So there's a nice big one in the middle. Yeah, you can see there the soft sand where it's compressed, and he walked straight down into Little Gowrie. So that was the same male that we heard calling last night, and the tracks that we were looking for this morning. And he crossed a little bit further than what I checked this morning, and that's why I missed those first thing, but easy enough to find them now where he went over. So Michael, I think it was Michael. Yes, Michael. That's right. Michael, you are asking, how does a Birmingham boy find a female if she doesn't roar and make a noise? Well, Michael, it's quite easy actually. Basically, what the Birmingham's boys do is they smell them. So they've got a very sophisticated sense of smell. If the females are not calling, then what you find is that the Birmingham boys will walk, they'll go over a road and they pick up the scent of a female there. They'll then take that scent and just follow it all the way along until they find the females. That's the one way of doing it. The other way is that if they don't roar, they then just walk along and accidentally bump into them. That happens too. But most of their time it is through hearing them, whether that's them making a kill or contact calling or something like that. And then secondary to that would be sense of smell. Sure. Somebody was walking around there last night. I wonder if maybe they were tracking the sticks in this area. But I'm glad that little Hosanna has gotten a meal and gotten away from the sticks and managed to find himself something else. It seems that whatever happened last night, the weather was perfect for hunting, because to have a leopard with a kill and 2 lion prides with kills just shows you that this wind was perfect for when it comes to hunting. And we've got some kudu just on our right hand side. So those are really our first mammals that we've seen this morning of significance. A few impalas as well. I suppose we did see some impalas earlier, but a nice group of kudu. There's some females, a young male, and even some of the young ones are here. And look how they feed so gently off these trees. A lot of the time they'll feed off things like monkey orange and acacias and a lot of the trees that have very sharp thorns. And I always love watching kudu feed, because they kind of just put their lips there and they slowly nibble away a little bit and just pull little leaves off as they go. You see, just work their way around the thorns. And that's the advantage of having a nice long muzzle that keeps your lips away from your eyes, so that when you are feeding off trees like this, that you don't get poked in the eye by a thorn and lose your vision. So kudu are very adept at doing that. They also have a very thickly skinned tongue, if you want to call it that lacks nerve endings and blood vessels, and that allows these kudu to feed off these plants without getting lacerated and causing blood to come out and any pain. So they're able to feed off a lot of the nastiest trees out here, much like the giraffe are. And so you'll find them often in the presence of those areas where you find thorn trees. So same as giraffe, anywhere where you've got acacia, monkey orange and tambuertes is where you find both of these species fairly regularly. There's a young male. So that male is probably, I would say, just over a year old. He's just had his first turn on his horns, so those horns are going to get much bigger. They reckon the record for a kudu male is over 6'2" for a set of horns, which, when you think about it, is absolutely massive. It's like me standing on top of a kudu's head, which would be really quite something to see. Imagine two of me on a kudu's head. It would be quite odd, but that is the length for them, which is amazing to me. It's the amount of power they must have in their necks and their shoulder areas to be able to hold up a set of horns like that is unbelievable. Natalie, you say they look beautiful and gentle. Well, they do, don't they? Kudu do have a sort of aura about them of being these gentle, loping animals. They just slowly move around when they want to, and with those big ears, it definitely makes them quite cute. So I always enjoy watching kudu. They've got quite striking markings as well, with the white stripes and dots all over them. Andy, you say you love their eyes. They're so expressive. I suppose they do have nice eyes. I find the cat's eyes are a lot more expressive than the antelope's, but I do, I suppose, see where you're coming from with the eyes and the way that they do look at us. I like when kudus kind of notice you and then they stare at you and the ears are out and they kind of focus at you, and you get that white chevron that sits just below the eyes kind of looking back at you, and it's really a very pretty picture. But you can also see with the males, he's starting to get his mane on his back and on his neck. He's going to get a big beard that's going to grow, so he's just going through that process. It hasn't quite grown fully yet, starting to though. So that's his little chin fluff that he's got at the moment, and eventually that will become a beautiful big mane, and he'll get much larger than that. Chitty Chatty Meg, you're asking, do we ever find kudu horns out here? Well, yes, we do. Quite regularly, actually. I've found a number of sets of kudu horns in my life, but generally they're actually broken or they've been chewed on by hyenas. It's very seldom that you find a perfect set of kudu horns. It's normally only if you've seen a kudu being killed and then you go back fairly shortly afterwards that you'll find them intact. But the hyenas tend to break them up and chew on them, and the reason is that there is some nutrients between the horn, that keratin sheath, and the bone, and that's why they'll go after it. I thought I heard a monkey alarm calling. But no. It's gone quiet. I thought I heard a monkey in the distance alarm calling. I don't quite know where Hosanna's got his impala kill. I know it's on sort of Little Gary Hoffman's area, but I'm not 100% sure. So I was just listening carefully in case the monkeys were alarming in some place. Now you can see why the kudu are known as the ghosts of the bush, because look how they just disappear there. So the whole herd is in amongst that lot, but that grey coloration, especially on a day like today where we've got this overcast sort of grey conditions, they blend in very well, and so it's the perfect camouflage to hide out in the savannah. So Mason, you're wondering if they are related to deer. Now Mason, they are a hoofed antelope, which means they are part of the ungulate family, much like a deer, but they are in their own family. They're part of the Tragelaphon family, which is a group of spiraled horn antelopes. So that is the kudu, nyala, bushbuck, and the biggest animal that we see and sometimes see in the Masai Mara with James and Scott, and that would be the eland. Now we don't unfortunately see them here. They do occur in Kruger, but only in the northern parts of the Kruger, not down here in the south. But the deer is slightly different in that it will also have antlers as opposed to horns. So even though they're grouped under the same thing, they're actually not part of the same family at all. So they are not. See where the sticks came out. Here's their tracks here. They are not ungulates, and they are not animals that have horns, and so therefore in a completely different family altogether. Sorry, I got a bit sidetracked by all the tracks of the lions on the road. If I'd only driven 1 meter further this morning, I would have seen these quite early. But it seems like these lions, when they walked here, must have been early last night, because the wind has really disturbed these tracks already. They're blown about and they're not very clear at all. Now, we've been looking for elephants and had very little luck, but it seems like James has managed to find what we've been looking for, and he's got some elephants of his own.
There we have an elephant, and you can see, as Fergus was just saying, it's wearing a little hat. It is indeed wearing a little hat. It must have had a birthday party last night or something like that. It is, of course, not wearing a hat at all. It is wearing a collar, which means it must be some research elephant. I'm not sure entirely what research is being done on this elephant or for what purpose, but there we are. Righty, I'm just trying to pick up where we are. We're trying to pick our way sort of out of this marshy region and head across to a spot called Rhino Ridge. And I was trying to get away from a convoy of tourists, but I think we're going to struggle on this road, so we might have to go back towards the convoy. Anyway, we're right near the Governor's Camp airstrip. That's what that windsock is doing. Apparently, you've all forgotten who I am. Here we are. Good. There, over there, are some zebra, Thompson's gazelles, and a tree. A piece of carcass sort of within sight, a bone or a skull. Oh, that is a little distressing. Well, it's not distressing, it's interesting. If you go continuously to the right hand side from there, Fergus, and zoom in on the hill beyond us. Yeah, straight over that way. No, just to the right of that, in fact, quite a long way to the right. Sort of over there. Yeah, even further right than that. Yes, onto that hill there.
That hill there.
There we go. You got those animals there?
Mm-hmm.
Those are cattle, everybody. And I think they're just outside the reserve. They're being herded by two red sugar-bedecked Maasai. There we go. And you can see, of course, that there is no fence between them and us. And so the boundaries of these reserves tend to be fairly fluid. There was just a little bit of activity with those gazelles over there. They were jumping about, they were, Fergus. They looked like they might be in the midst of a fight. Alright, I think we better turn round. I don't trust this road in front of us. It's going the wrong way. We're going to have to follow the convoy until we've got out of this area. We'll say goodbye to our elephant with his party hat on. Goodbye, elephant, with your party hat. He, of course, is sitting in a borrow pit. A borrow pit, of course, being a pit that is used to borrow soil for the airstrip. Oh. Hello, Exquisite Bliss. You say, how do they get a collar on the elephants? Exquisite Bliss, it's not an easy task, but elephants have a great weakness for peanuts. And so what you do is you lay a trail of peanuts towards a holding pen. And then once the elephant is in the holding pen, you, they're also not very, they're quite susceptible to gin. So what you do is you soak the last few peanuts in gin, and then when it eats those last few peanuts, it goes to sleep. And then you put on the collar, and when it wakes up, it leaves with the collar on. It's a relatively simple process. I am obviously talking utter nonsense. You have to dart them. So somebody would come along here, fire a dart into its bottom, it would feel a slight prick, and then it would be very tired suddenly and it would go to sleep. Then you run quickly towards it, make sure that you haven't given it too much drug, put on the collar, and then give it an antidote as quickly as possible, and then it will wake up. That's how it's done. There are so many animals on that hill the other side there. There are some wildebeest too, but I don't think... In fact, there's a massive herd the other side. I think it's largely topi, though. We might have to head up there and have a bit of an investigation. But it's largely topi. There are a huge number of topi around here. There they are. My favourite antelope of this area. They too are susceptible to gin and will fall asleep if you give them peanuts soaked in gin. Works better with raisins. I don't know if any of you have ever read that book, Danny, the Champion of the World by Roald Dahl. It's a wonderful children's story. But they used to drug the pheasants that they would poach. And this is Danny and his father. Soak them in gin. I think that's what they used to do. Good. Right, let's attempt to turn round, shall we, Fergus? Might just reverse all the way. I'm being uber cautious about this because, of course, we are a long way from any form of help. Where I might take a chance at a place like Djuma when I know that the Opar, the mechanic, is no more than 20 minutes away. I'm not going to do that here. Well, Shadrach, the mechanic, is currently, well, he's fixing Scott at the moment, so he's hours away. Right, on we go. We did spot the cheetah again, by the way. They've turned around and they went back the other side of that nasty marshy area, and so we decided to leave them. Another gorgeous day here. That rain cloud seems to have headed over towards where we live and not towards us. Yes, I think we'll just follow that convoy until we find a road that is better suited to us. Hold on tight, everybody. All I got there was... Did you hear anything? Oh, right. Okay, we're going to head across to Tristan. We don't know what he has, but I think that he is perfectly capable of telling you what he has himself.